I want to start taking decorated sugar cookie orders, which means I really need to practice because I've only done it a handful of times. This little 5 cookie set is inspired by travel and Vietnam because that's where I'm hosting my next girls trip. To warm up, I started with the easiest cookie, which had a red background. Then I drew on a non la, which is a traditional Vietnamese hat. Next to that, I wrote Vietnam in yellow with a star above it to give some resemblance to their flag. The second design was a postage stamp with the Temple of Literature on it. This one was a bit tricky because I wanted the image itself to be flat, so I had to use flood consistency for everything, and I think that's one of the hardest parts about cookie decorating is getting all the consistencies right. I was really surprised by how decent it turned out, and then for all the details, I decided to paint them on. This was my first time painting on royal icing, and I struggled. Everyone made it look so easy and fun, but I mixed my gel food coloring with Everclear instead of vodka because that's what I do on cakes, which was a big mistake. It made all the colors evaporate way too quickly and even changed some of the colors, so lesson learned, don't do what I did. The next design is so cute. I made a boarding pass. This is by far the smallest writing I've ever done, and no, I didn't freehand this. I did invest in a projector. This was an absolute game changer and I think so necessary for cookie decorating, especially if you're making multiples of the same design. Okay, this one I felt super creative for because I made the back of a digital camera displaying a photo. Again, I wanted the image to be fully flat, so I flooded everything in my photo of lanterns. And this was the exact moment I asked myself why I chose a design with so many circles, because it's so hard to get them absolutely perfect. They could be better, could be worse, but the painting on my lanterns turned out nicely with a kind of watercolor effect. Then I used a bunch of different edible markers to draw flowers and add some dangling tassels. Following that, I wanted to paint on a ton of shading, but because of the issues I mentioned previously, I had a hard time getting the right shades of gray and it wasn't blending very well. Eventually, I'd like to redeem myself and try this one again. Adding the little highlights and labels on the buttons was super fun and definitely completed it. For the last design, I made a bowl of Vietnamese soup called pho. Hopefully I pronounced that right, but it's a soup with rice noodles, savory broth, beef, some herbs, and I garnished mine with lime and chilies to add more color. For the final touch, I added some light corn syrup for my broth because I saw Karen T. Bakes do this for her soup cookies and thought it was genius. I guess I didn't record that part, but you'll see it in the final shots. These are the finished cookie designs. Let me know which one is your favorite. I think mine is the stamp or the bowl of soup. Notice the broth. And please give me any and all advice for royal icing and cookie decorating in the comments because these 5 cookies took me way too long. Okay, thanks, bye.